Hello everybody, welcome back to today's video. Welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody is doing well. Um, Today we're going to be talking about not a prediction, but a video about President Donald Trump's approval and how it could affect the 2026 midterms and possibly even 2028, a few years down the road. So I I would definitely say you should put a lot of emphasis on the president's approval because typically the party in power suffers losses in the next few elections. Like you even saw in 2022. I would say that was about the baseline that a party um, loses seats and the party out of power gains seats because you saw how um, you had Roe v. Wade get overturned. Case can be made that hurt the Republicans. Democrats definitely use that as a campaigning point. Republicans still have like an R+3 or 4 year. And just because they're out of power, they had Joe Biden as the president. Obviously, that's what happens. The party out of power usually gains. In 2018, Democrats gained a lot. The Obama years, Republicans gained. So that's typically what happens. Each party tries to, hopes to defy the trends, but it's typically not true. In the whole entire 21st century, there's only been one exception, but every midterm, the president's party loses seats. That's usually just what happens. The only exception was George Bush, the Republicans, but that was right after 9/11. That was kind of a unique timing because it was a more, they were kind of, the country was, you say, let's unite around the president. But even so, that was only Republican plus one. So, it's hard to say how it's going to go. I still am leaning towards the Democrats just because they're the party out of power. Now, the question is by how much are they going to gain? Because it could be a huge, massive 2018 type of wave, or it could be a smaller ripple like 2022 was, but reversed. We'll really have to see. But yeah, let's talk about Donald Trump's approval and how it can affect. We can compare to his first term and now. So let's do that. Sorry about that. So, his approval is -8, and my rule is that if you're president, I would say if you're under -10, then it's really bad. 8 is not great, but it's not like the worst place to be. You still have a few positive polls. That's such a falling group. They are kind of Republican biased. You have insider advantage. But it's hard. It's hard to say. His approval has kind of gone back and forth. But that's basically how it is. You have the obviously it trickles down to the generic congressional vote. You have Democrats ahead by 4 points. So you can tell right here. You have You have it kind of, I would say, toward, again, Democrats favored, because you saw how in the beginning of 2025, you saw Republicans narrowly ahead, it was kind of tied, and then it was kind of close. It wasn't really that much. It was only about a few points, and then over time, like November was the peak over here. This is when it became most unpopular. But it kind of went up. It's kind of the same. So when the president is not super popular, that really is not good for them in the midterms. That's basically how it is. Then you also have, beginning of 2026 as well here. So this definitely will affect the midterms. It absolutely will. Something went wrong with the thing, but basically that is the deal with the approvals and averages. So let's take a look at this, and this obviously this shows the approval back in 2017 for Donald Trump. Around this time, it wasn't that great. It was a few points even worse than it. 2018, I should say. And that's 2026. So his approval in 2018 was a little bit worse than it is in 2026. So based on the data, I think Democrats should have probably around a Democrat plus 4 environment, which should definitely shift the country quite a bit more Democratic. Um, just based on the data, it probably won't be as liberal as 2018. I tend to doubt it. I think the country, just because of polarization, just kind of stays even, but it definitely won't go completely even. It'll lean towards the Democrats um, this year because the Democrats did the party out of power, and they typically they gain seats. So if we could look at the time, right at the beginning of 2018, Donald Trump's approval rating was minus 16, um, and it's only minus 8 right now. So that's a solid. That's a solid 8 points. It's half of the disapproval as it was before. So that should be um, a glimmer of hope for the Republicans. I would say. I definitely think they should be happy about that. But I mean, again, minus 8 isn't great, but it's not the worst because if you compare it to 2018, so it wasn't great. And then kind of was about the same until the very end. Democrats had like R plus a D plus 8 environment. So I think it'll be about half as 2018 as of now. That could always change, and I could always say it goes more Democratic, or it could tighten up a little bit. We'll have to see. But if you want to compare the two of where it went, you also have the generic congressional vote of 2018. You saw Democrats back at this time, they were ahead by 12. Um, you saw they were ahead on this day, January 11th. Yeah, they were ahead by 12 points, and now they're only ahead by 4 right now. So that's tripled or doubled the lead. So I do think that Democrats will be favored again in 2026. However, it being as big of a wave and as powerful as 2018 is yet to be determined because, sure, it's still looking out to be a blue year, but it doesn't look as concerning for the Republicans as it should be in other circumstances. That's basically what I see with the stats and the statistics right now. If we apply shifting everything, this is for the U.S. Senate, you would see leans to likely margins, maybe even leans, but I would say leans to likely margins in the swing states. And Democrats would definitely close in the gap. You would still see Republicans win Alaska. But what's weird is you would see Maine as safe Democratic. I don't think Maine is going to be safe Democrat. I think it's going to be more competitive. It's going to be close. We'll see. Janet Mills and Graham Plattner are in a pretty contentious primary to go against Susan Collins. We'll see. Maybe she'll be favored. But again, that's yet to be determined. But that's basically what I see about the map right here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you learned something out of it. Again, it's still pretty early. We don't really know who the candidates are or who's running in certain elections, so it'll be hard to say. But this is basically how I see the midterms coming out. Let me know down in the comments. Do you think 2026 will be a blue wave, or do you think it'll be a blue ripple or something else? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.